Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well as ever. I've got a Funko Pop review for you today, actually quite a few Funko Pops, because we're going to be taking a look at my Mandalorian collection. Now, I do have a few variants of the Mandalorian himself, as you can see they're looking pretty awesome, so we'll dive into those a little bit deeper. But we do have the supporting characters that are pretty much the most essential supporting characters from the Mandalorian TV show, which I can't wait for season 3. An awesome original series, and to be honest, I think one of the best things they've added to the Star Wars universe in recent history. The first season was fantastic. Second season, straight out the gates, was brilliant. And the wrap up, the finale was fantastic. And the Mandalorian on its own already stands alone as a great story, great character, great supporting cast. But when you tie it to the main story like that with Luke, it's just fantastic to see, because continuity is so it's so satisfying to see, but at the same time, it's not fan service. It's not being done in a way where you're like, oh, for God's sake, like with the sequels, a lot of people's biggest gripes with it is that it's just trying to please all sorts of different people instead of staying true to itself, and kind of putting itself out there as something new. With the whole Rey and Palpatine angle, I mean, you can look at it all sorts of ways, but I just think that the story was so pulled left and right that it's hard to really believe in what's happening when you do it that way. In contrast, the Mandalorian was true to himself and his ways and evolved slowly over time, in and around these characters in this universe, until at the end of the season 2 finale, he had such a huge bond with Grogu, but he realized that this is the way, for literally, and for Grogu to go off with Luke, and seeing that little Luke and R2 cameo was really nice. And obviously he absolutely decimated the Dark Troopers. But in terms of season 3, looking forward to that. There's a few other Mandalorian variants to pops that I want to get my hands on. I've got some action figure, some Black Series Mandos that I can't wait to do some shots with soon. In terms of pops though, pops just it's that stylized look, and the Mandalorian helmet looks great in the Funko kind of Funko style. So it'll be interesting to see with season 3 where we sort of pick up. But in terms of some of the other variants, like the new one with Pascal's head on, I do want to pick that up because I do like the actor. I do think he's great, and I really liked his portrayal. And then on top of that, also the jetpack kind of blasting off variant. And they would be more so pops for just my collection, as shelf presents, but I would do some shots with them for sure. Looking at our supporting cast here, we've got Grogu, as we now know him, Grogu. Obviously, on the box he's named the Child, which I liked that they started off the series with him being the Child, because in the beginning we needed to have some mystery behind what's going on and what the bounty is and whatnot. The fact that we learned his name and it's Grogu and stuff, that's great. It'd be interesting to see where that goes, and if we find out any more about where he kind of ends up in his destiny. I mean, if you look at the sequels and the pattern of that and those events, you would imagine that Grogu was part of the Jedi school of Luke's, but that fell. It's hard to say where he went. He survived Order 66, so the bet's on for him to survive almost anything at that point. So in terms of the supporting cast, you've got Grogu, obviously very important to the Mandalorian TV series, and a great partner in crime for the Mando himself. IG-11 I thought was brilliant. I really liked the kind of script they gave IG to kind of make him both relatable in terms of he was funny even though he didn't know he was being, or his attempts at humour and that sort of stuff, and and then kind of like, but keeping him, keeping his personality droid-esque, not trying to give him too much life and too much independence, which is great. Cara Dune, obviously a kick-ass female character, and a great addition to the Star Wars universe. She was awesome. We'd like to see more of her, but that's kind of open at the moment to see if Gina is able to come back in some form. It's difficult to say at this point, but we'll not rule it out for now. In terms of the kind of original cast, I would say IG, Cara, Grogu and Mando are they're the OGs. Obviously you've got all these other cameos from people like Bo-Katan, or you've got Grief Karga and all that sort of stuff, but I don't see them as integral to the story. And like when you can have a collection of your most your favorite characters, or your most inspirational characters, or the most important characters in your opinion, stuff like that, I would definitely say that this is a group of core characters to the Mandalorian TV series. So it's interesting to see where it's going to go, but I'm a massive fan. If they were to not push on with a season 3, I'd have been happy with the 2 seasons we got. It was fantastic. So in terms of Funko Pop pickups, I definitely think that when these first came out, they were very sought after, because the Mandalorian TV show was a massive hit straight away, and rightly so. So nowadays I don't know how easy it is to get your hands on these pops, but I definitely think you should keep an eye out, because you can see, like with the Mandalorian variants, you've got the OG Mando with his kind of brown armor plates and stuff like that, and the weathering on the helmet looks fantastic. And then you've got kind of Beskar Mando in the back there, where he's that he's got that upgrade. Grogu reaching out, that's the most iconic kind of moment I think from Grogu, was the time he first used the Force. And I mean, we saw it coming, I guess. Did we? I don't know. I certainly saw it coming at that moment, maybe not, I don't know, but it was certainly going to be a factor. And I liked that they played on the angle that not everybody knows what the Force is, or totally is involved in it. So that was nice for the Mandalorian to kind of be welcomed into the Star Wars universe as a character, but also he wasn't privy to all of the kind of lore of Star Wars that we as fans know. So it was interesting to see his introduction to those things and him take it on board, which was cool. Obviously, you've got Flamethrower Mando, which was an exclusive that is very hard to pick up, so I'm glad I got that one. So keep your eyes out for that one. But I mean, when you look at the designs of these guys, the stylized versions and the scaling, it's fantastic. They look awesome. They've got some brilliant shelf presence, and I definitely recommend picking them up. I mean, Grogu, they made like 5 different Grogus since then, so I shouldn't think it's difficult to pick a Grogu up. IG-11's probably harder to come by, because he was he was in and out of the series quite quickly, and he's quite a sought after character because of his lovable kind of droid nature. But then since he hasn't been featured again, we haven't had any other variants. So I know there was a 2-pack at one point, I believe, which I did think about, but excuse me, at the time I thought I'd just stick with the IG I had on pre-order. Cara Dune, I know there was another variant, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see her again. So maybe not the last time last chance you have to get your hands on those pops, or Cara specifically. But in terms of an addition to the collection, they're definitely some of my favourite pops. The Mandalorian TV series, is one of my favourite pieces of Star Wars content. Just in general. I mean, it's interesting to see when you contrast, because I mean, the Mandalorian obviously was groundbreaking in terms of the use of the soundstage, and that that technology, and it's so awesome to see that come to life, and see that we're gonna have that technology for Kenobi and things like that moving forward. But the Mandalorian, to me, ties into that magic of the original trilogy that I hold so dear to my heart, is that it has that practical nature of, you feel like a lot of it is practical, or there's some like looking at the Mandalorian's gear, like it's kind of like with Boba Fett, you want to feel like this stuff is real, and in the real world, helmets are something that we're all so hung up on because they're so cool. All of the attachments, the weapons, the ships, and all that sort of stuff. And it's so cool to see, behind the scenes, to see that obviously a lot of it is CG nowadays, because we have the capabilities. But because it ties into that era of the original trilogy, it's just after the second Death Star has blown up in season 2. It just has that magic of, it feels like authentic Star Wars, and that's why it's one of the reasons I love it. But I hope this video was informative, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's given you a little bit of light on some of these pops and maybe whether you want to pick them up yourselves. I definitely recommend it. I mean, you can't have a Star Wars collection and not have a Mandalorian in there somewhere. Or a Grogu at this point, and the supporting cast are pretty great too. So I'm going to leave you with that one as ever, guys. So take care, and I'll see you in the next one.